What if I told you that your favorite bedtime snacks are actually causing your cavities and gum disease? There are some foods that are terrible for your teeth, especially at nighttime specifically. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the worst foods that you can have right before bed, but also some healthier alternatives if you want to have some nighttime snacking. So make sure you stick around. Now, the biggest thing to understand here is when you're sleeping, your mouth doesn't produce as much saliva. Now, where saliva is like a natural bodyguard for our teeth and our gums. There's a lot of antibacterial properties. It can wash away a lot of the food, leftover particles, a lot of the plaque on our teeth, and it can also dilute any acids in our mouth. So anyone that doesn't have as much saliva is going to be more prone to getting cavities and gum disease. And this happens a lot of times when people get older and they start taking more medications, because a common side effect for a lot of medications is xerostomia, or dry mouth. And that puts them at a much higher risk for getting cavities. And this will help explain why one of the worst foods that you can have right before sleeping are acidic foods and acidic beverages. So things like sodas, whether they're sugar-free or not, or even citrus fruits like oranges or lemons. Actually, pretty much anything other than water is going to be acidic. One of the biggest problems with these acidic foods is they will weaken your enamel. So your enamel is the outer protector of your teeth. On the outside of your teeth, you have your enamel, and then on the inside, you have your dentin, and then in the middle of your tooth, you have your dental pulp, or the nerve inside your tooth. Your enamel will wear away at a pH of 5.5. So once the pH gets that low, or it gets that acidic, then your enamel will start demineralizing. Most of these acidic foods and acidic drinks have a pH well below that 5.5 threshold, meaning they can definitely wear away your enamel and damage your teeth. Now, why is this a problem right before you go to bed? Well, we already talked about you're gonna have less saliva. So there's less of the saliva here to clean away some of these sugars and this plaque, but also less saliva to dilute this pH. So that means this acid is gonna be attacking your teeth much longer than if you drank it during the daytime. But also, most likely, if you're just about to go to sleep, you're probably gonna brush your teeth right after. Now, in most situations, brushing your teeth is great, but it's not so good if you just had something acidic. Because now that this acid is on your teeth and your teeth are in a process of demineralizing, that also means that they're weaker and they're easier to kind of erode or wear away. So now if you brush your teeth with this abrasive toothbrush and this abrasive toothpaste, then it's going to start wearing away your enamel even more. And this can lead to more and more erosion on your teeth and then start exposing the root structure of your teeth or that dentin underneath, which is actually weaker. So I'm not saying to never have oranges or lemons or never have your soda or anything like that. I think it's fine to have for dinner, but not as a nighttime snack. The second food that is really bad right before bed is starchy foods. So these are things like refined grains, like your chips, your crackers, your bread. The problem with these foods is they will feed the bacteria in your mouth. It's not just sugar that causes cavities, it's really any carbohydrate, because these carbohydrates are feeding this bacteria in your mouth called Streptococcus mutans. These bacteria will eat the carbohydrates in your diet, and then they will literally poop out lactic acid onto your teeth. And this lactic acid, again, will demineralize your teeth and damage your teeth, and this is actually what causes cavities. Now, the reason why starchy foods specifically are bad right before sleeping is that they're really hard to clean out, because they can get into these grooves inside your teeth. They can really build up in between your teeth. So if you don't spend a ton of time cleaning your teeth properly, you might miss a spot. And then you're gonna leave these carbohydrates in the one spot all night long with limited saliva again, so that more bacteria can feast on these carbohydrates and potentially cause cavities. Now, going on to number 3, really similar to number 2, are sticky foods and sticky candies. So these are things like gummies or dried fruits, and I'm also gonna toss in some harder candies like Jolly Ranchers or something like that. Now, these foods obviously are not good for your teeth, but again, similar to these starchy foods, they can really stick around to your teeth, and they're gonna be really hard to clean away, especially if you have them right before you go to bed. You see, normally if you have one of these candies in the afternoon time, you're gonna give a lot of time for your saliva to build up and eventually clean away that candy from your teeth. But if you're just about to go to sleep, you're gonna have less saliva, so there's a lower chance that the saliva is going to clean away this candy on your teeth. And also, there's going to be a lower chance that you actually clean it away with your toothbrush and with floss. And lastly, just like the acidic drinks that we talked about, these candies tend to be very acidic as well. So you're going to want to wait at least 30 minutes before you brush your teeth. Otherwise, you might damage your teeth even more by brushing right away. Now, number 4, the last food on my list is alcohol. The main problem with alcohol is that it dries your mouth. Now, we already know that you get less saliva when you're sleeping. I talked about that this whole video. But you combine that with alcohol, that's going to be like a twofold attack on your saliva. So now your mouth is going to be extra dry when you are sleeping. So there's an extra chance that you're going to have more cavities and gum disease or these bacteria building up all night long. And a lot of times people pair unhealthy foods with alcohol as well. There's actually studies showing that people choose more unhealthy options when they are drinking alcohol. So now you're going to combine this extra dry mouth with potentially having this extra unhealthy food in your mouth, which is going to cause more cavities. Now, how big of a deal is if you drink one of these things before you go to bed like 1 or 2 times? That's not a big deal. Your enamel is very strong, it's very resilient, and it can go through a lot. But the more you do it, the more frequently that you do it, then the more weaker that your teeth will get. Just remember that plaque can form faster when you have less saliva. Plaque is this biofilm of bacteria that basically cling on to your teeth. Now, normally we're able to clean away plaque with our toothbrush and our dental floss because it's very loosely attached to our teeth. But when you have less saliva and you have more of these carbohydrates and other foods in your diet, then you give more of a chance for this plaque to cling onto your teeth. And this can lead to all the things we talked about, the cavities, the dental erosion, more sensitivity with your teeth, and even possibly gum disease. Now, that being said, if you absolutely love having your nighttime snacks and you don't want to change it, that's fine. But I would replace your nighttime snacks with one of these other foods I'm about to mention. So some better foods are cheese, because cheese is actually one of the few foods that actually neutralizes acids. Also vegetables like carrots and celery, because these not only carry a lot of water in them so they can help wash away your mouth, they also naturally scrub your teeth. So they're basically acting as a natural toothbrush. Now just make sure you're not putting a bunch of ranch and other sauces on these vegetables, because the ranch and other sauces that you put also have a lot of sugar in them. So you're gonna kind of negate those benefits that you get. You can also have different nuts before you go to bed because there's not much sugar in them. They help also clean your teeth because they're very crunchy. And lastly, water. Water is probably the best drink that you can have for your teeth, unless we invent some super drink in the future. But when I say water, I mean plain water. Even the sparkling water, although it hydrates you and it's good for you, the problem is it can still be acidic. So you want to probably research which sparkling water you have to see how acidic it actually is. Because if it's more acidic than 5.5, if the pH is lower than 5.5, then it's actually gonna damage your teeth, especially if you brush your teeth right after. So normal water with a normal pH, or even like alkaline water or something like that, right before bed is perfectly fine. Now, if you're really worried about the acidity level of your mouth and how this can cause more cavities and gum disease, something else you can add to your routine is a pH balancing mouthwash. So one that I recommend is called Carie Free. There's no alcohol in it, and it's actually sweetened by xylitol. The cool thing about xylitol is it's actually an antibacterial. So not only does it not cause cavities, it actually actively prevents cavities. It's the only sugar alcohol that actively prevents cavities. So it's really cool that they use that. And also it's pH buffering. So it can buffer the pH in your mouth and make it less acidic. So with that being said, I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys stop eating some of these bad foods right before you go to sleep. And as always, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below. I will see you in the next video. Oh my gosh, that smells. Newsflash, if no one ever tells you that your breath smells bad, it doesn't mean that your breath doesn't smell bad. They're probably just being nice to you. Now, if you know that your breath stinks, have you ever wondered why it stinks? Studies show that 50 to 60% of people believe they have halitosis or bad breath